ideological attack comes from someone who, as Transport Secretary, the unions confirmed was absolutely non-existent in terms of dialogue and communications. Somebody who was blocking the DfT from agreeing deals, and now with that same person in post leading the charge for anti-strike and anti-worker legislation. Now, given the Secretary's form, we know he's up for a fight. And it's a fight, though, that even if he wins this, he's destroying worker relationships for good. Hard-pressed workers struggling at times with the pressures they're under, particularly within the NHS. So who seriously thinks not negotiating and threatening workers with a sack for striking is going to help matters going forward? It's utterly insane. And as the rail unions have pointed out at the Transport Select Committee last week, deals have been agreed where DfT and the UK ministers are not involved. So clearly the union ask cannot be too unreasonable. When RMT and ASLEF have agreed deals with ScotRail and the Scottish Government, they've agreed deals in Wales and Merseyrail, for example, deals with governments and authorities who are hamstrung by Tory austerity imposed on them and still manage to agree deals. Mr Deputy Speaker, the Tories tell us they're the party of workers. Now that phrase fools no one, but they also tell us they're all about a high-wage, skilled economy. And yet, as we've heard, when workers ask for a wage rise, they're told no. They're told it's unaffordable. And worse, in the case of the rail unions, the Secretary of State quotes figures he thinks shows how well paid all rail staff are. Now, as actually it's really telling, the Secretary is effectively saying that train drivers are overpaid and how dare they ask for a wage rise. It's insulting beyond belief. So the Tories can forget saying they want a high-wage economy, but meanwhile they're quite happy for the rail companies to make dividends and pay dividends during the pandemic. They're quite happy for VTech to walk away from the LNR franchise owning billions of pounds, but yet they always go for attacking the workers. Now,
very good point, Ursula.
In terms of rhetoric, it's the same that rhetoric around this legislation that the Secretary says mirrors what happens elsewhere in Europe. Soundbites for the Secretary of State are actually easily proven to be false.
Hear, hear.
And indeed, the European Public Sector Union General Secretary Jan Willem Gudrian argued that the comparisons by the UK Government of this bill with existing laws in other EU countries was misrepresenting the situation. And this is because all minimum service levels are agreed through negotiation in Europe. But also the European Trade Union Council General Secretary Esther Lynch said, the UK already has the most draconian restrictions on the right to strike in Europe. And the UK Government's plans would push it even further away from normal democratic practice across Europe. Now, Pablo Sanchez can tell us, a spokesperson for the European Federation of Public Service Unions, he was much more succinct. He said it's bollocks. So they say...
Don't sit on the fence, Allan Brown. Just tell us what you really think. Oh, brilliant.